When I was a young man, I'd say around 19 years old, I used to go to the river with my buddy. We would park his car at the point that we would be exiting the river, and we'd park my car at the point where we would be entering the river. And then we would body surf from where my car was parked to where his car was parked. There were times when the current was so great and the momentum was so awesome that, man, it just pushed us right along. And then there were times when even laying on our stomachs or on our, on our backs, we couldn't get enough current. We did this a couple of times, and then we found out that buying inner tubes was pretty cheap, like 10 bucks or something like that. So we went out and we bought some inner tubes. Then getting to the river became almost as much fun as going down the river. We figured out that if you tie a rope in an X pattern on across the back of the pickup truck, it will hold the inner tubes in to the truck. But the way we drove at that age was pretty fast, so we actually created a lot of lift, and we thought this was kind of like windsurfing. So we could get on top of the inner tubes, and we could be safe because we were tied into the truck, but we could literally drive. One of us could drive down the road while the other was in the back trying to hold the inner tube down, and the wind was creating this lift. And so we basically windsurfed our way to the river, where then we actually got to the river. We could go down and float the river on the inner tubes. One day my little brother was with us, and so we're doing what we'd done a couple times before, right? We aired up the inner tubes, put them in the back of the truck, and we had come to the brilliant conclusion that you didn't have to do the X pattern to hold the inner tubes into the truck if you put a human being on top of the inner tubes. We just asked my little brother to sit in the back and hold the inner tubes down with his body weight and hold on to the truck with the rope. So as we're driving out to the river, we're looking, and he's out there, pretty panicked, but kind of having fun. So we get to the river, and then we are going down the river a little bit, and we decide that we don't want to use the inner tubes anymore. We're going to go ahead and just body surf. And so we're body surfing down this small stretch of the river, and all of a sudden the current picks us up and starts really pushing us. And I remember I was in the front, behind me was my brother, and then behind my brother was my friend Jim. And as we go under the water, I go under the water, and I'm like, wow, it's taking a long time to get back up. What's going on? And I'm like, come on. Okay, I'm up. Whew. I was getting to a point where I couldn't breathe. And so then my Jim, my buddy, comes up out of the water, launches out of the water. He's like, whoa, dude, that was so crazy. I'm like, wait a minute, you were behind my brother. Where is my brother? He's like, I don't know. So we're looking around trying to find out where my brother comes out of the water. And he's grabbing me frantically, trying to hold on to something, right? And, I had seen, in some rescue video or something, don't ever let them grab you, keep them at an arm's distance. So I grabbed onto him, but I pushed him away from me and, just tried to keep myself afloat and him afloat while he was calming down. It turns out that we were just in kind of an undertow situation there with the river, and it had kept him down a little longer than it kept me and my friend down. So luckily my brother did not drown that day, which I'm quite sure that his children appreciate. And we learned a valuable lesson about wearing life jackets or staying on the inner tube while we're floating down the river.